tutto l'assetto.
Sì.
Totalmente.
Ok, allora il
Vai
microfono.
lì.
Proviamo a parlare, vediamo se prende.
Pronto. Adesso però non c'è nessuno nella live. Dove vedo che stanno? 0 persone.
Sì.
Quindi.
Allora aspetta. Vuoi fare un'altra storia su Instagram con il nuovo link?
Il problema è che questo quando lo salvi rimane questo su YouTube
Lo posso
forever.
editare, lo posso editare.
2. Hello. We have a few people.
Now I can hear you.
Can you all hear me now? Very good. Okay, well, bit of a technical issue, and probably that's what happens when you do things for the first time, and we're obviously going to get better at this. We had 25 people, now number 8. That number is going to grow. But we have probably spent already enough time trying to get the technical side sorted out. Now, the idea of this series of lives, which will happen on a regular basis, so the next one is on the 25th of August at 5 o'clock, Italian time, Central European, summertime. It's to really cater for people that are purchasing or thinking about purchasing a property in Italy, but also people who own a property in Italy and may have some very interesting and deep questions that can relate to legal matters or also other issues that are related to owning a property in Italy, or probably people that are just fun. They just love the channel and they just love what we do here at Salento with love. So during the next 50 minutes, because that's what we have left, we'll be really covering some of the questions that are coming through. Nevertheless, I have Ludovica right next to me here. She will take notes, so you can't see her.
Hello? I'm here.
That's her. So any questions that you may have, please drop them into the box. Wow. So first of all, thank you. Salento with Love was started in 2018. And together with the help and support of my sister Anna Maria, we actually grew to become we are the leaders really at what we do, which is assisting clients from all over the world with the purchasing or with the process of purchasing a property in Italy. Now, we've specialized in a particular segment, which is remote purchasing. For any one of you who has joined this live, and I can see the list here on the screen, you're probably at the receiving end. You've gone through the process and you now own a property here in Salento already. And purchasing a property remotely can be extremely stressful if you're thinking about what's happening on the other side. But once you find the right people and you're trusting the right people, then the transition is going to be smooth and you can really enjoy the benefits at the receiving end. Nevertheless, if you have already a property, you probably have some questions that you would have loved to ask me in the past and you haven't, so take this opportunity. And you are probably thinking about owning a property in Italy. So first of all, a question that I get asked all the time, if you own a property already, close your ears, make a coffee, you've gone through this already, but how do I get an Italian tax code, also known as a codice fiscale? But first of all, what is a codice fiscale? Because every time I mention this word tax code, people are thinking, I'm going to pay taxes. Well, a tax code, it's not related to paying taxes, but is an identification number. It's an alphanumeric number made up of your name, your surname, your place of birth, your date of birth, and this number gets generated and gets recorded with the Italian tax agency. So that number really is your identification number, regardless of what you're doing in Italy. You're probably renting a property, selling a property, buying a property, or a lot of other things that you may do, which could potentially be getting a contract. You will need a tax code or a codice fiscale. Now, how do you get one? This is a recurring question. And I know that some of you probably find it stressful, but I can guarantee you it's very, very simple. If you're lucky enough, or I'm not sure, probably some people don't feel that way, but to live in a place like Canada, you do the application online anywhere in the world on the Italian consulate website of the area that you are in. And in some places, like I mentioned, Canada, maybe within 15 minutes, half an hour, you get hit with an email back from the Italian consulate and you've got your tax code PDF, which means it's been registered, it's been recorded, and that's the official document that you will need. So wherever you are, this is the process. You will need to log on to the Italian consulate website of the state that you're in. If you are in the United States, Australia, wherever you are in the world, and you follow the process of the online form that you find, you fill it in, you answer the questions, you submit the documents, and automatically you will get the answers back with a PDF. So that's how you do it. Very simple, very straightforward. Now, another question. How do I calculate my purchasing cost? Now, calculating purchasing cost, it's a very interesting thing, because where do you start? Well, I did a Q&A probably 2 years ago where in details are outlined how do you calculate your purchasing cost. And I would say really top of the list to put in your purchasing cost is the cadastral taxations that you pay to the Italian government. Now, when you buy a property in Italy, regardless if you're Italian or a foreigner, a citizen, a resident or not, then you will be paying 9% of the cadastral value. Now, what that means? Well, in order to have that number, you'll need to know what the cadastral value of the property that you are purchasing is. How do you get that? Well, once you have identified the property, it's a public piece of record information. So you can simply ask the realtor, the agency who's got that property, to give you that piece of information. It would be great perhaps to get that piece of information before you move forward into the purchasing, if you need to really work out your figures to the penny or the cent. So once you have that figure, which is highlighted in the cadastral sheet, also known as visura catastale, then you take that number, you multiply that number by 126 times. So imagine that number, calculator here, it's 112 euros. So I'll do times 126 times. That gives me 14,112. Well, you'll be paying 9% of that number. So cadastral value in the cadastral sheet. So you ask for valore catastale. If you're taking notes, you're purchasing a property, very important to know this. Once you have that number, you multiply by 126 times. The figure that you get, you pay 2%. Now, do I want to divulge into why would you pay 2%? Yes, if that is your home that you're going to be residing and you physically live here in Italy and you are a resident of Italy, or you're going to become a resident of Italy, without a doubt, within 18 months of your purchasing, you can exercise the option of telling the notary that you will become a resident within the 18 months. You will be living in Italy permanently and registering your residence here in Italy permanently. Only in that case, or if you are an Italian citizen, only in those cases, then the 2% will apply. So again, cadastral value times 126, you get the number and you pay only 2% of that number. But, there is always a but, you will pay a minimum in Italy of 1,000 euros. So in the case of the cadastral value being, say, 10,000 or 14,000 like it was a minute ago, you will still pay 1,000 euros. A couple of other small elements are attached to that can actually create, or actually would create, the full figure that you will be paying. On top of that, you will have the notary fees, which normally for a transaction between, say, 100,000 and 300,000 could be anything between 1,500 euros to 3,000 euros. And this is really what you would expect to pay anywhere in Italy if you're purchasing a property. That's your conveyancing charges that you will be paying to the notary. So that's another small amount. Now, embedded in this answer that I'm answering, Michael, the person that asked this question, also there is another cost, which is the realtor or the estate agent or the agency that you have used. In Italy, anything between 3% and 5%, it's the average amount that you will be paying. So if the property that you're purchasing, it's 100,000 euros, expect to receive an invoice for 3,000 euros from the agency. But between 3,000 and 5,000, remember, between 3% and 5%, certain areas of Italy or certain agencies are a little bit more aggressive on commissions, but that's average and that's a normal, and that's really the norm in Italy. As the buyer, you will be paying commission. On top of that commission, you will also have to add the Italian added tax known as IVA, IVA, so which is 22%. So wherever the amount of the agency is that they're charging you, add 22% to that. So the IVA is only applicable on the added on charges of purchasing your property. Now, those are really the charges that rotate around purchasing a property. So your cadastral value, which is 9%, your notary fees, which can go between 2,000 and 3,000, depending on obviously the size. If you're purchasing a property for $1 million, expect to pay a little more. And so those are the numbers, plus your realtor agency that is assisting you through the purchasing process. We have a question. Jessica. Yes. Can you let me know how long after closing a sale can we expect to have the original deeds? Well, very quickly, really. It takes a notary, a good notary in Italy, within 3 days will register the title deed with the official department of Italy. So what happens is you're there sitting at the desk with the notary, you're signing, and you are becoming the official owner of the property at that moment. But it takes about 3 days for the notary to submit the title. And if everything is okay, when that happens, which obviously in 99.9999% of touch wood, I haven't come across a situation that wasn't that way, you are literally, then the notary will issue the titles. So anything between, I would say, 3 days to 10 days, the title deeds can be requested from the notary. Nevertheless, at the moment of doing the title, if you would like to receive a receipt, the notary will issue a receipt just to let you know that the title deed or the completion, the rogito, has actually taken place. Bill, my question, long-term rentals. I know from recent emails and YouTube videos, is looking to get month-long and longer rentals. How is that going, and what will be the primarily focus on? Well, I mean, we're talking about ourselves now rather than anywhere in Italy. Well, I would say that Renting in Puglia, which is a website that we launched a few months ago, and I haven't had a chance to really plug it in a lot, is going extremely well. We probably have, I would say, around about a dozen properties rented long-term, and this is without really pushing, but we are structuring more and more to continue to create added value, not just for homeowners like yourself, Bill, in this particular case, but also for investors that are looking at having a multiple number of units, just like some of our clients already have reached 5, 6, 7 units. So we are looking at structuring and creating a better service that rotates around, bringing returns. So to answer your question, it's going extremely well. While Ludovica is writing another question that is coming through, I've got a question from Joanna. Do I need an attorney to represent me? Absolutely yes is the answer. I think about 2 years ago, I did a video which you can find it on a playlist called Talk to the Professionals, and I was having an interview with Maglio Gervasi, which is an attorney that specializes in real estate. And I think I was making a point that when you purchase a property in Italy, you don't really need an attorney. but you do need an attorney. And it's true. I must say, if you have a person like myself involved, I would say up until now, and I had a lot of time to probably do a lot of things, and now my time is split so thinly. I turn every stone. I look into everything. I'll ask 300 questions. I have a very strong legal help and support and background. So the answer is, if I'm handling a situation, potentially you will not need a legal representative. But if that is not the case, you will definitely need a legal representative to support you. And the answer to that is why? Because in Italy, the realtor that is representing you is also representing the vendor. So you can imagine you don't have an independent party. You have a realtor that is getting a commission from the vendor, and you have the same realtor who's getting a commission from the buyer. And then a lot of people think, oh yes, but there is the notary. Yes, but the notary, all it does, it reads and makes you agree to what is actually read. And if you're in agreement, or the person that is representing you there on your power of attorney, or whatever it is, says, yes, that's exactly what I'm buying, I'm happy with it, terms are okay, the notary is only going to witness your signature and then register the title and transfer the title into your name. So don't fall into the trap, if you're buying a property in Italy anywhere, to think that, oh, the notary is going to take care. The notary's got no responsibility over you purchasing a property or anything that could potentially go wrong. So make sure that right at the beginning, I cannot stress this enough, even before you actually start engaging with an agency, appoint a realtor attorney or find a realtor attorney that can help you through the process. And if you have actually bypassed this stage and you've already identified the property and you've exposed yourself with a realtor or an agency, then make sure that you stop for one moment, find the realtor to hold your hand and get you through the process, because it's the best money that you can spend when you're purchasing a property in Italy. It doesn't cost you thousands. It may cost you 2,000 to 3,000 euros to pick up a property into the 300,000 euros, but it's the best money. I always say that if I'm investing money, I want to make sure that I have a mechanism here that is protecting my investment. Remember, purchasing a property is a real thing. And sometimes you may think, okay, I'm purchasing a property, and if anything goes wrong, I'm going to lose 100,000. It may be not a lot to you, and you're just doing an experiment. And I've come across people like that. I'm probably losing 200,000. Don't be so sure, because you're probably getting so much into something that even if you think you can walk away, you will struggle to walk away. So make sure you have a realtor, lawyer, attorney that specializes in the field and looks after you. Okay, so you do need one. Oh, this is like a plug, what makes Susan? Oh, well, what makes us different from the others? I would like to say me, but then everybody who's, how many do we have on? We've got 44 people. If I say me, that makes the difference. Probably it would drop down to 0. But the reality is that sometimes people make the difference. And I have certainly brought to this part of the world, but also to this part of the industry, some fresh air, and also a knowledge that came from different things that I've done during my life. So I think what really makes the difference with Salento with Love, it's Davide Mengoli, and the ability of surrounding myself with people that are better than me. I've got no issues in saying that some of the people that rotate me, including, you may have come into contact with my property manager, which is Totti Russo, I would say is better than me. You may have had dealings with my sister Anna Maria. I would say she's definitely better than me. Milena handling more than 80 clients, and everyone has got water bills, electric bill, gas bill, property taxes, and refuse charges, and parking tickets that they get when they're here on holiday, and deliveries. She's definitely better than everybody else put together. So I would say one of the things that we are is that we have put a team of people together that is better than everybody else. We've also increased that team. We've also brought in a legal side to the team. So we have also a legal side that looks after us and looks after our clients, making sure that their interests and their investments are protected. We've also just recently brought in as well Fiorella, which takes care of the real estate side of the business with an incredible knowledge of international law, speaking 3 languages. So what makes the difference? Well, Davide Mengoli is surrounded by a fantastic group of people. And I will add to that, Susan and David, what makes the difference is every one of you that over the last 2 years has brought an incredible joy to my life, because altogether we've created something that it's borderline magical. Now, before I get emotional, we get on to the next question. How is Puglia popularity impacting real estate prices? Elizabeth. Hi, Elizabeth and Leland. Well, sometimes I wonder really if it's just a media trick. What I know is that I lived in England for 33 years, and now when I go back, I think, wow, I can't wait to go back to Salento or to Puglia. I think Puglia has picked up a lot of pace over the last 5 to 10 years, maybe. Nevertheless, I mean, last night I was having dinner in a place where it was only me, Barbara, and another couple of people sitting there, and we are on the 3rd of August. Yes, beaches are very busy. I think Puglia is becoming very popular on the media, but I wouldn't worry too much just yet. I think, yes, we're going to see quite a lot of people changing lives and doing exactly what a lot of you have done over these last couple of years. But nevertheless, Puglia is a very large region, 400 kilometers long, so just under 280 miles, with a huge amount of coastlines, and between the province of Lecce, Brindisi, Bari, Taranto, and Barletta and Trani, more than, I think, just over 200 towns. So that would take thousands of you to make it extremely popular and fill it up. But to the point, what's making it popular to the media are facts. And the facts are that Puglia, it's a very special region. What makes a region very, very special? I've spoken to probably over 1,000 people in these last couple of years. People that want to be in a place that the weather is good. And when I say good, I don't mean that it's sunny all year round, because in the winter it's pretty cold, but it's not freezing. But weather is safe, no mountains. So yes, okay, we don't have the landscapes of the mountains, but at the same time, we don't have the issues associated to mountains. No rivers means that, yes, we don't have the pretty rivers, but we don't have the issues associated with rivers. And no lakes. Yes, we have 2 little ones, but very, very rich, fertile grounds with an incredible amount of underground rivers. So what makes Puglia very, very special is the ancient history. So when you look at a map, you always look at a map will always tell you the truth. And you look at the towns and how populated Puglia is. That tells you immediately how popular it was hundreds of years ago, centuries ago. People wanted to be here. So people want to be here. Obviously, the world has changed over the last 100 years and people have moved into big cities, but we are now probably witnessing something differently. Puglia offering 2 international airports, which is Bari, which is incredible. You can fly from the United States into Rome, Rome to Bari, or Rome to Brindisi, Milan to Brindisi, anywhere to Brindisi, anywhere to Bari, and that covers the entire Puglia region. A network of train stations. Just behind me, I've got a map of 4 meters. The city of Lecce has a fantastic train station. I can get in the train, I can just rush to the station, get onto the train, 5 hours later, I'm in Roma Termini. So that's probably quicker than going to the airport, park the car, going through security. 5 hours later, I'm in Roma Termini. So Puglia is special because of the geography, surrounded by the water, very fertile grounds, and very, very good when it comes to transport connections. Okay, what is the process for working with Salento with Love to make our property available for rent when we aren't using it? Who's asking the question? Let's see who's asking this question. All right. So, well, if you own a property with us already, then you could just... Oh, David. David. Yes, hi, David. Your kitchen is going in today, as you know, because we've sent you some photos. But, well, what happens is pretty simple. You speak to Anna Maria, and she will get the will in motion, and then you can quite easily get onto our portal, which is the renting in Puglia. All the agreements will be looked together, and off you go. So if you are already a Salento with Love client, then you probably are aware of the mechanism already. If you're asking the question, so I can actually divulge to the people that are watching this live how you can do it. Well, first of all, I'll say the property needs to be a property that I think personally, or my team, because obviously business has grown to a point that sometimes I can't even see some of these properties. But I really believe that a property needs to be comfortable. It needs to offer that comfort elements, and also property needs to be refurbished to a level that anybody who's managing that property, in this particular case us, is not going to encounter issues after issue on a weekly, on a monthly basis. Because although we're a property management and we do work on the behalf of our clients, but it takes a huge amount of energies and resources looking after a property that potentially has fundamental issues. So if the property is great, the property is good, and all the elements are there, then really we just do an agreement with our client. The property gets posted onto our renting in Puglia, which is our sister company, and the terms are there to be discussed with our staff, and then off we go, generating revenue for that property. Hopefully I've answered that question. Very interesting questions. What are some of your towns, my towns, other non-towns, but anyway, in Puglia, that are great towns to live full time? Sorry?
It's from Instagram.
Oh, this question is coming from Instagram. I don't know who's done this question. Oh, okay, yes. So I'm answering Instagram here on the screen. But, hey guys, you know, I'm straight. I can't answer this question. It's impossible. I can answer a question like this. You know how straight I am, you know. It's like you want me to take responsibility. It's like what ticks your boxes. It's very important. I think we have so many tools out there at the moment to do research without even going somewhere. I've just booked my flights. I'm going to Indonesia, guys. Now, I don't need to bother somebody saying, oh, do you think I should come here or there? I think there is enough elements and tools out there to do your own research, and then finding the people on the other side helping you, making sure that you achieve exactly your objective. And this is really the difference that we make. So it's very important for you to identify the type of living that you would like to achieve. And one of the things that we do offer as part of remote purchasing is having a one-to-one consultation session with myself, where I would ask specific questions, understanding exactly what is it that you're trying to achieve with your life, in order to then identify potentially the area or the type of town, not the actual town, but the type of town that could be suitable for you. Hey, sorry if I'm a little bit straight in answering my questions. I think I did answer this question already, but somebody's just said, what are the expected costs for an attorney? An expected cost for an attorney that will go anything between a fixed fee of around about 3,000 euros in Italy, anywhere in Italy, for a real estate attorney, to 1 to 1.5% of the cost of the purchasing of the property that you're buying. You will expect that attorney to do part of the negotiations for you. You will expect that attorney to do the entire process of the due diligence and coordinating as well, potentially a surveyor, which is an additional cost to you, but the attorney will coordinate those elements. You will expect the attorney to draft the contract rather than sometimes using the contract of the realtor. If the realtor contract is not good enough, you will expect that attorney to drop all the clauses that are important to you to safeguard you, and you will expect that same attorney to draft the power of attorney that can assist you through the closing stages of your property. That will be roughly the cost. George, yes. What is the process after the purchase to start renovation of the property, and what is the estimated time frame for a full refurb on a small property? Now, anywhere in Italy, that could be different. If you have the right people on board and stand by, which is always extremely complicated, I would say anything between 16 to 20 months is the average time. If we are talking about a renovation where electrics, plumbing, building work, floor, ceilings, and kitchen, bathrooms, it just takes time to put the entire picture together. If people are trying to do it by themselves, I would say anything between 2 to 3 years before they actually manage to get anywhere. And that's with an extraordinary amount of effort and energy of back and forwards and traveling and meeting with architects and different individuals that potentially do different areas of the work that needs to be carried out. Here at Salento with Love, obviously it's a service that we offer, but not magic wands are supplied. So I would say once I manage to get a property started, I really aim to complete the property within 12 months. Sometimes the actual process of getting a process started could be 3 months, 6 months, because of the amount of time that it takes. And sometimes even if you rush, if the workers are not there and the work is not aligned because there's so much happening for us, then it's no point rushing. So I'd rather take that time to develop ideas and concepts. And you'll find that that time is a very useful time sometimes to use as an investment that you will use, because once the project is started, if it is us involved, we will complete the project. If it is a small project, within 12 months. If it is a big project, maybe within 18 to 24 months. And that's what we aim to do. Obviously, that's what we do. And I find even that to be a very rare thing, that it doesn't happen in Italy in anywhere, almost anywhere. Next question. Oh, I was just looking at that one. Currency exchange. Oh, that's an interesting question. Well, everyone that's purchased the property through us, they've probably been at the receiving end of getting introduced to a currency company. I particularly work, there is so many of them, so you can choose your own one. I particularly work with one which is called GC Partners. They're based in London, but they're regulated by the Forex. So it doesn't matter if the United States, in Canada, wherever you are, if it is a country that is legal to transfer funds, which the United States are, they will actually look after you. Now, just like currency exchange, there are so many companies out there. On the other end, I like them because I like GC Partners. I've developed a relationship. Sometimes I can actually reach out to them and say, what's happening here? Can you make sure that this happened? Can you tell me what the background here of this, what's the status? So that allows me really to be a little bit more relaxed at this end, and I can offer that added value. But nevertheless, if you're purchasing a property in Italy, make sure that you get a currency exchange company engaged, because some people like to use Wise. Yes, I have an account with Wise and I use it to pay my pizza and a lot of other things. But if you're transferring a large sum of money and you get stuck with Wise, apart from potentially not getting the best rate, not being able to talk to somebody and negotiate your rate or your stop rate, and perhaps other products that are not available on Wise, apart from that, if something happens, who are you going to talk to? And you are talking to a huge organization. So I like the idea of working with GC Partners. And so I would say, regardless of which company it is, make sure that before you start the process, you engage the services of a currency specialist in making sure that that little difference makes the difference. This is a very important question if you're purchasing a property in Italy. And this is, how can I make payment for my property safe? Now, again, everyone who's watching this live, and if you have purchased the property through us, I use a mechanism which is a legal mechanism in Italy that, can you believe it? Can you believe it? That only a small percentage, and I'm going to say how much is that percentage, but a very tiny percentage uses this mechanism. And I think it's absolutely crazy. You know, I've just completed on a property only on Tuesday for myself. Small property, and you know I use the mechanism, and you know that mechanism costed me 400 euros, but I don't care. I use the mechanism. What's the mechanism? Take notes. It's called deposito prezzo. Deposito, if you're learning your Italian, deposito prezzo. What is the mechanism? What is the mechanism that the Italian government has put there for notary to use? What it means is that your funds will go from your bank or from your currency exchange that we just mentioned a minute ago directly to an account, a client account. People call it escrow, probably you in the United States, but it's a client account of the notary. Now, this is not just ordinary client account. This is a client account which is controlled by the Italian government. It means that if anything happens to the notary, anything, that money are actually sitting into a client account and they belong to the client, which is very different from an ordinary client account. That money was sitting there and you think, okay, well, that's fine. That's a client account. And no, it doesn't end there. The deposito prezzo is a mechanism that keeps you safe until you have your title deed. Remember, I mentioned right at the beginning of this Q&A that it takes about 3 days for the notary to record your title deed. Now imagine this. I'm going to scare you now if you're purchasing a property in Italy. And this is why this was introduced only in 2013, believe it or not. Until then, this didn't even exist. So you would send the money directly to the vendor. Now imagine you are there and you're signing and the property is yours and you're shaking hands and you're getting out of the office of the notary and you're all happy. And you have a bad apple, which is the vendor. The vendor can just step into another notary the same day or the day after. Remember, the notary that you just completed may take 2-3 days. It's probably a Thursday. It's not going to tackle it until Monday or Tuesday. So that property is still registered in the name of the person that just sold it to you. That person can sell it again, or something could happen to that person, or something is probably in the process of happening to that person. Maybe he hasn't paid his tax bill. And for some bizarre reason of the universe, when people say, why everything happens to me? No, everything happens to people that don't take the right precautions. And sometimes things happen. But imagine he hasn't paid his tax bill and you're there, you sign the property and the property is now yours. And the next thing, the day after, the tax office puts an injunction on that property. Well, when the notary goes to transfer the title, that property can no longer be transferred because there is a debt. Well, that property has already been transferred so in 2013, the Italian government introduced the mechanism called deposito prezzo. No one uses it. It's crazy. But everybody should always say, and remember, if anyone tells you and you're buying a property in Italy, they don't want to use it, remember this. As a buyer, you have 2 things that you can decide. 2, you choose your notary. If they choose it for you and you're okay with it, that's fine. But remember, you as the buyer, you are paying for the purchasing cost. You choose the notary and you choose the terms of payment. Remember, these are your rights when you're purchasing a property in Italy. So if you're buying a property in Italy and you have already engaged and you've already signed the preliminary, make sure you reach out to your realtor and say, make sure that the final payment happens under the deposito prezzo mechanism. Now, is there a charge related to that? Yes, notary do charge because there is a cost for them to use this particular client dedicated account. But remember, there is always a cost related to protecting your investment. Always. Make sure you always pay that cost. So that is the safest way and the only way that I use and I suggest you use in purchasing a property. Do I have another one? 10 minutes to go. Wow, there's so many questions. We have to write them all down. I can vouch for GC, good service. Yes, GC is very good. Rachel and Joe Cook, they do a fantastic job for us. And a few situations where banks, for example, we're talking about currency exchange. Sorry, I'm going on a tangent. But I've been in situations where clients, they've been charged by these transitionary banks $200, $300, $400 in transferring the funds. And I've reached out to them and said, hey, I'm 200 short. And, after doing just over 30 million euros with them, they've kind of filled that gap. So that's the advantage sometimes of being able to pick up the phone and speak to somebody directly. Oh, this is probably a very, very. how can we estimate refurbishment cost when looking at a property? You can't. You can't. I mean, how can you estimate when you're looking? What does it mean looking? Are you looking at photographs online of a property? It's impossible. And then what is your standard of refurbishment compared to my standard of refurbishment, compared to someone else's standard of refurbishment? You know, I speak to people and I see something that I just want to get in with a sledgehammer, and they'll say to me, "This is fantastic. I love these tiles. I wouldn't touch them." I'm thinking, okay. And then I speak to people that I'm looking at some tiles and I think, this is a wonderful bathroom. Wow, the people that did this 10 years ago, they really went for high quality stuff. And the client is saying to me, I want to smash everything. I don't like it. I want it new. So how can you estimate, really? It's a very difficult question because it very much depends. But then remember, Italy, made in Italy, Italian design, Prada, Versace, Lamborghini, Ferrari, Augusta, if you like motorbikes. Do I need to continue? Where? Dolce Gabbana, she's just telling me. Now, I don't know why some people think, oh, Italy, why so expensive? Well, because it's not expensive. It's only because you thought that it was cheap that you think it's expensive. You know, if I've run a gallery for many, many years, and every time somebody in front of a painting told me that it's expensive, I always said, well, no one is telling you that you need to buy it. It's as simple as that. You know, you don't walk into a Porsche dealership saying that the car is expensive, because they will send you down the road to the Volkswagen dealership, which has still got four wheels, and it will take you from here to there. Now, this is not an arrogant way of approaching the subject. It's just the way. It's just how expensive it is to refurbish a property. I think, you know, if you're paying $10,000 in the United States, you're probably paying $8,000 over here, or you may pay $9,000. But don't expect that if you're paying $10,000 in the United States, you're going to beat in Italy and you're going to pay $2,000, and somebody says $8,000, you're shocked because it's a lot. So refurbishment. But just to wrap it all up, I very often say a number to keep in mind is a figure between 1,500 to 2,000. I used to say 1,000 to 1,500 euros, but I would say over the last year, we've seen some incredible surges around the world. So in the south of Italy, anything between 1,500 to 2,000 euros per square meter will get you a total refurbishment of a property. But when I say total refurbishment, just remember, we're not talking about kitchen, we're not talking about expensive faucets and expensive finishing, because sometimes, you know, those are the things that can cost more than the entire refurbishment altogether. But that will give you a gauge in order to understand what the cost could be. Which one are you pointing out to? Okay. Somebody asking me, Galatina or Maglie? Both amazing. It's just great. Choose. If you choose Galatina, I like you, we may have a drink together. If you choose Maglie, I may stop by sometime. Oh, this is a very... Well, I need to answer this. How do I stay so cute and positive? Thank you very much if you're watching this. Or cute, I'm not sure. I feel the pressure of the age coming, but anyway, I do what I can, and thank you very much. I take it as an amazing compliment. It's great. Positive. I work very hard. I mean, I work very hard on myself because I deal with hundreds of people, and sometimes remaining positive. People are changing lives, moving, relocating, transferring goods and money, purchasing a property and being nervous, refurbishment, asking questions all the time. I probably get an average of about 300 WhatsApps on a daily basis and probably about 20, 30 emails. And all my staff really helps me in dealing with it. Staying positive for me, it's just who I am. You know, I always say it's a very important thing, you know, that I say this is my philosophical approach. It doesn't cost any extra to be happy. So every time I fall into the trap of not being happy or of being sad, I stop, I think, I meditate, and it may take me half an hour, it may take a full day sometimes, but I need to snap out because it costs the same, but the results of being happy, it's far better, and the achievement and the things that you actually get as a result of being happy, it's far more than not being happy. So that's what, being positive. Guys, be positive. Very important. When you are thinking about purchasing a property in Italy, Spain, Greece, Portugal, in Europe in general, or relocating, you got to stay positive. You know, you are going for a full change. And it's beautiful. Changes are good. I mean, I've gone through some extraordinary changes in my life, and I can say that while you're going through the changes, I mean, it's an extraordinary turmoil and pain. But then today I was having some physiotherapy, and while a lot of pain was getting, actually a lot of stuff was applied on my hand, I was laughing and I was thinking, wow, this is what pain feels like. So always be positive. Always be positive. It's very good. One last question. Do we have one last question? George, double whatever you think of cost. Yes. So if you're thinking 100, double, and you'll be absolutely super safe. Now, one last question I'll answer in the last couple of minutes. I do a lot of Zoom calls, and sometimes people have decided, should I be here? Should I be there? Should I be here? Well, I would say Italy's beautiful everywhere. I've traveled. I haven't traveled the entire world, but I've been in many places around the world. I would say Italy, it's a small country, but if you do some Google thing and say, what's special about Italy? You would find some extraordinary documentaries. It's one of the countries with the largest number of art monuments in the world, with a large biodiversity of nature, mountains, beaches, islands, volcanoes, ancient history, traditions, food, design, everything in a very, very small space, very small space. So where in Italy? Well, I would say anywhere in Italy, it's good. It's where you are in your life that it's important. So when you are choosing where in Italy, well, it's important to be somewhere that you feel comfortable with. And things that make us feel comfortable normally are outdoors activities, places that we can walk to, cycle to, the beaches, the coastline, the weather, the lovely towns, the food, the proximity to some nice restaurants and bars. And so, you know, everybody talks about €1 homes, and probably now not so much. I think that it's blown away. But do I really want a house for free and then spend a huge amount of money refurbishing it and being on the top of a little mountain? Well, that's for you to answer. But I would say it's very important, if you are thinking of a house that needs to give you a lot of pleasure, to think about the environment around. And I would like to connect to one of the questions that we answered earlier, why Puglia is becoming so popular. Because without even knowing why, Puglia ended up having all of those things that make you very happy. You can get in the car, and within an hour or 2 hours, you can drive and see some extraordinary things. Within 15 minutes, you can be in another village. Within 5-10 minutes, you can be on a Caribbean-like beach. So it is very, very special. But the frame of mind, it's very, very important. Sometimes people end up in a place and say, oh, people are horrible there. No, people are not horrible there. I think if you dig deep down, you probably had the same issues back home where you were. So it doesn't matter where you are. So it's important really to feel at peace with yourself and get a map, close your eyes, put your finger, make sure you're not on top of a mountain, and you'll be absolutely fine anywhere in Italy. And providing you're not below the mountain, that potentially could blow up. So Italy is just a magical, magical, magical place. So thank you very much for being on this live. We'll be back in again on the 25th of August at 5 o'clock. I'm sorry for that little issue at the beginning from Ludovica, which but anyway, at least we know that how to do it better next time. And thank you very much for the support of anybody that's been on board. We've got an incredible amount of questions and incredible amount of comments. And without knowing, you know, you have created a family. I step outside. I'll never do anything to put people together. People that just come together. So you have created a fantastic family. Some of you are, I would say, very, very magical. And I appreciate very much what you do and what you do for us. So have a wonderful weekend, magical weekend. I'm going to try to catch the sunset Google kilometro, so KM0 Salento. So I'm going to go right to kilometro zero, have a beer, watch the sunset, and think and meditate about what we've just discussed in these 50 minutes of life. Stay safe wherever you are.